So I'm trying something new and just giving some background on some of the most beloved hymns that we still sing and know today. This first one is going to be Revive Us Again, mainly because my church just started a revival service or meetings, whatever you want to call it, this morning. I have another one tonight, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, and I'm so excited. But anyway, I'm going to be giving a brief summary of a, article or section from the book Then Sings My Soul by Robert J. Morgan, which I highly recommend, especially if you're familiar with the old hymns, you love them, and just kind of want to know the circumstances behind why they were written. So to start off, Revive Us Again was written by William P. Mackey, who ended up being a Scottish doctor. But before he ever became a doctor, he had to go through all of that medical training and all, which led him away from home. And this was back in 1863. But growing up, he had a wonderful Christian mother who would work on him for his salvation. However, he kept putting it off. And he says in his own words, "The older I grew, the more wicked I became." And then once he moved out, he ended up needing to sell a few things to make some money. One of them being the Bible that his mother had given to him. And he didn't think anything of it at first, until years later, when an injured worker was brought into the hospital where he worked, and the worker's case was pretty much fatal. It was hopeless. And Dr. Mackey had told him his prognosis as cautiously and carefully as he could, but the worker had only one thing on his mind. He needed the book. He wanted his landlady to send him the book. A few days later, the patient dies, and some of his affairs had to be really taken care of with Dr. Mackey present. And Dr. Mackey's nurse asked, "What should we do with this book?" And Dr. Mackey replied, "Well, what book is it?" And the nurse replied, "It's the Bible." Dr. Mackey took it, and this is where I get chills every time I read this. It was the Bible that his mother had given him years before, that he sold for what he says, a paltry sum. His name was still in it, written by his own mother's hand. And I'm going to read this one paragraph. He says, "With a deep sense of shame, I looked upon the precious book," capitalized. "It had given comfort and refreshing to the unfortunate man in his last hours," talking about the patient. "It had been a guide to him into eternal life, so that he had been enabled to die in peace and happiness. In this book, the last gift of my mother, had actually sold for a ridiculous price. Be it sufficient to say that the regained possession of my Bible was the cause of my conversion." And with that in mind, 1863, he wrote to him, "Revive Us Again." And I was just like, when I first read that, I got chills, and I actually started tearing up, and it's just a touching story to me. I'm going to see if I can play it for y'all. out the mistakes.